All right. Well, we just went over coating selection, and then I had to get a grilled cheese sandwich before I passed the fuck out. And a sip of this tea. Now, let's get down to getting this bad boy assembled. Now, I don't know if I'm going to cut this video and do a video for each little one, have a clip, or if I'm just gonna make it a big long session. So, I have an AR-15 bolt tool that I use to disassemble this bolt, and it did okay. Now I have a thing of parts here, and I don't know, I guess we can set it here. I'm gonna start with some of the easy stuff first, like the gas rings, and we'll go from there. One step at a time here. So, these gas rings, no different than AR-15, in the fact that you gotta stagger them. And then they just roll right on. What you want to do is, where they're split, you want to put the splits in opposite ends, so that the gas can't escape past them. At least that's how I do it. Okay. That's probably about the easiest thing you could do. The next is all the work we're going to have to do on this bolt. So, let's see. I'm looking for oil, grease, and let me see one thing here. I'm looking for, I guess I don't have anything. That's okay. So we need to dig out our ejector spring, our extractor spring, and the pin. Okay, so first thing I want to do is just put a little bit of oil down in here, and we need a Q-tip. Okay, and we're just going to take that Q-tip, spread that around a little bit. Now I'm going to tell you don't want too much because it's going to be slippery and all that, but It just is what it is. So take your extractor, and you're going to want to put a little grease in the hole where the spring sits. And this grease is just to hold that spring in place. So I like to use tweezers. You do whatever helps you hold it best. But now you can turn it upside down without that spring falling out. Okay. You're going to install that. And it's easy enough to push the pin down in. Now, I want you to pay close attention to your pin. I can't show this very well, but if you look close, one side of your pin has a head. It's domed. In my case, it's this side. The other side, you're going to have to put that little clip in. So I put the domed side down. So your bolt's going to sit like this, and I put the dome side at the top. If that makes any sense to you. And the reason for that is just because that way, if that little clip was to come off, you've still got that domed head and gravity holding that in there. So I've got it pushed through, and I'm going to, if I can find it, I'm just going to use a little pusher to finish that off. Okay, now you don't, because of the force coming from the spring inside, you don't have to install that clip right now, and we're not going to. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our ejector spring. Now, if you look at it, one side's more flat. One end is more flat than the other. The flattest end goes in. Now, this is tricky because, well, I guess I don't want to say it's tricky. It's easy to put it in. But I want some grease in here. My ejector has worn very, I'm trying to think of the word, very like unevenly, and I want some grease in there to just sort of help it out. Now your small, if you can look at this, the thin end sticks out of the bolt head. The fat end, your spring pushes against. So now that you know that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little grease right to the hole. And I'm just going to take, where's it at? My tweezer and push that grease through and spread it around. Then we will drop this down in, and then we'll use this spring to push it forward. Now I bought an ejector spring tool, and I highly recommend that you also buy this tool. Now, to install this, what you're going to want to do is and I'm going to tell you right off the bat, if you have to do this, you are going to need this tool. So when I worked on G36s, and the G36 has pretty much the same bolt head, it is impossible to get that spring pushed down and the roll pin behind it. It's impossible without this tool. And but you're gonna need a vise. You're gonna need a vise to push this in. So I'm gonna cut the video here, and I'm gonna do exactly that, and then we'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So let me show you real quick. This tool made it such a breeze. Okay, if you can see, it's got a slot. Okay, and you take this tool, you put your spring in, and I don't know if you can see, it slides up. Now you want to keep your slot lined up with the roll pin hole. And then once you get that spring pushed past and you see nothing but daylight, you simply tap in your roll pin, and that's it. There's no goofing up your spring. There's no trying to pound that in with force against the roll pin, screwing it all up. I believe I got that tool from Shooting Sight. Now, I recommend that you get it just because eventually you might have to change that. Especially if you want your bolt PVD'd, that has to come out because of the heat needed to apply PVD. So, with that being said, now you can see our ejector is in there. Now all we have left to do is put that little tiny clip in place. And so to do that, I have an AR-15 bolt head tool, and I'm just gonna thread the little section in here. If I can get this lined up. Okay, we just need to hold it. Now, we need that little clip. And I believe my tweezers. And I need a hammer. So I built a tool, but I don't know if it'll work. Okay, so yeah, I was going about it wrong. That really didn't take any time at all. Just let me check this real quick. So I was told putting that little clip on was extremely difficult. So I'm going to tell you how I did it. It made it very easy. So I do have this tool. You really don't need it though. If you have this Harbor Freight kit, if you have 2 of them, I use the smallest little flat screwdriver, and I got the flat screwdriver on one side of the spring. I got one of the ears on the other side of the spring. I just pried it open and it popped down over. So wow, that was pretty easy. I will admit that was probably the most intimidating part of this, and I'm sorry that I can't show you how I did it. I just don't have no way of zooming in to show you. But if you just take your time and get a little flat bladed screwdriver on each side. You can pry it open. It'll pop right down. So, okay, we are all done. Let me clean up and we'll assemble this and go from there. Okay, we're gonna start putting this together. I have slid the piston in just now. So here's our gas plug, and I'm just going to, well, I guess I was gonna put a little oil on the outside, but I don't guess it really matters. We'll go ahead and get this slid in. I slept on my left arm, kind of fucked up the other day, and now it's in fucking mad pain. Okay, just making sure that changes, and we have the factory, I know someone's gonna ask, we have a factory gas jet. So now we'll take this bolt, put it down in. You can feel how slick that bolt is now. It is crazy. I'm going to just put a little oil in there. So if you're following that cold test, I'm now using Slip 2000 EWL. It's Slip 30. I don't know if it'll be good or bad for the test. I haven't actually used it in this scar yet. Oh, one sec. Because all the parts have been out for this PVD. So I just want to real quick cam this around and put a little of this around the extractor, rub that in. And get this coated once again. I have switched to the reciprocating charging handle, and I haven't shot any of this yet because it's all been out for coatings. So we're going to have to obviously do a function test and run a couple hundred rounds through this. For those that have subscribed because they want to see cold testing, it's not going to be cold in my area for probably a couple weeks anyway, if that. It seems like things are starting to warm up for spring, but we'll see. Whoops. We'll see how it goes. Okay. Now get our charging handle in place. Okay. Then we'll get our recoil spring. Get that put in place. Get the stock slid on. You know how the rest of this goes. The people that are following this that have scars. Okay, we are sort of in action here. You have no idea, I'm not bullshitting you, how fucking smooth this is. That is crazy smooth. The action feels literally like it's on ball bearings. And that's no joke. So, let me get some things put away. We're gonna go out. We're gonna smoke this thing. I'll catch you in just a few minutes.